Good morning, Louise.
Good morning, Mark. How are you today?
I'm good. We were just talking about calmness, so we're gonna try to keep that message going and have a calm conversation, a couple of laughs, and share some good stories. I think we can do that.
That
Um,
sounds great.
Thank you for participating in our what's really become getting a lot of momentum. Our Leaders Who Care series that people are really appreciating to know who that there are leaders who care out there, and it's a good idea, even for business, to
I was
actually
just
care.
thinking that I think the most exciting part for me is to learn who all the other leaders who care are and to get to read their stories.
Well, you can. We've just been almost finishing transferring all the videos over to a new channel because we needed to, separate channel. And when I get to the link, you'll see a whole bunch of them there, and you can spend your whole weekend viewing the videos and letting me know who you want to meet because that's what we do. We also
Okay.
introduce everybody. But let's start so we don't have a whole conversation with people not knowing who you are. Let's start with if you would just introduce yourself and give a brief background.
Thank you, Mark. So, my name is Louise Wanye. I was born Louise Jane Safman in Cambridge, England. I came here to America when I was 8 years old. I am the daughter of a scientist who's not with us anymore, and I grew up respecting um, science, uh, literature, music, art, all of those things. And on the other side of my family were a lot of creative business people. So I ended up going to Caltech for my undergraduate and then to UCLA to get an MBA and then becoming what I call a creative entrepreneur. Every business I've built has been in a different industry, and I've learned about lots and lots of interesting industries and opportunities.
So one of my interesting questions that I love to ask, and I know you were kind of semi joking with me before we started this about people do, and it's important to have a why. I've had some people recently saying they start with their what first and then they go to their why. But that's a matter of opinion. But why do you do what you do?
Well, I think I got my answer from reading a book I just finished reading, which I'd meant to read for 50 years or 40 years, and that's Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Love that
And
book.
I should have read this years ago, but it put it together for me. For me, the meaning comes from the doing. It comes from seeing the impact of what you're doing on other people and making a difference in their lives. And I don't know why, but that is the being that I'm being. That's what I am.
No, it's spectacular. I love especially when he shows there's even meaning when things go wrong and you're suffering. There's even meaning in that.
Well, I think one of the stories I remember from the book was he was a man who had just lost his wife, and prisoners in the concentration camp who didn't know whether they even had a few hours to live. And he talked about that the why should you live when you think everything is hopeless, when everything you care about is lost. And he talked about how you live because you might be able to contribute something that is of meaning to it's through the act of living, the act of being that the contribution comes. And I don't know, he just flipped it around in such a magnificent way.
Yeah, it's great, and that maybe is one of the best answers for why you do what you do. Is referring to that book. So you have been a creative entrepreneur. You have been in multiple industries, which is amazing. You've been involved in computer training and VCRs before people even knew what the midnight thing, why it was flashing at them so many times, and all that. And really done some amazing work in nonprofit as well. Including as a board member right now, as a chair of a
Thank
board
you.
right now for
Thank you.
this amazing organization called Circle Around. Can you and this is an interesting question because it's kind of like a push talking about yourself. Can you tell me and us what really differentiates you as being a leader who cares?
It's a hard question. I mean, I think what I am is focused. I'm always focused on, and to borrow Stephen Covey words, what is the end that we're aiming for? And then what is the approach that we're going to use to get to that end? And just getting clarity. I think I drive clarity, and I'm a catalyst because I'm unafraid to maybe point out the elephant in the room or maybe ask the question that someone hasn't asked.
Yeah, I would confirm that. Um, but you know what? That does differentiate because a lot of people just go round and round and round, and you think you're doing stuff, and you are doing stuff, and never get to the answer. So, you talked about your family and your parents from Cambridge, which makes us, even more related because I'm from Canada, so we're kind of like Commonwealth brother and sister here, type of thing. And but my grandparents always used to say, um, in a Kiev Russian accent, they always used to say, "As long as you have your health, that's the most important thing," basically.
Yeah, I
And
remember that one.
oh yeah, it's amazing. Now, so here we are. We've got technology speeding at the speed of light. We've got COVID, which we thought was a major undertaking in itself, but then we have social justice finally hitting the tipping point. Hopefully, it seems like we have a little bit of an awakening, maybe because we have a little more time to think about what's important. And so I wanted to get a sense of what do you think the future looks like in terms of our awareness when we're at work, when we're at play with our families, and just in our community. What do you think that looks like?
Well, I'm hoping that we are waking up to the next stage of consciousness where we realize much more explicitly how interconnected we all are and how every action we take has an impact on other organisms within our world's actions. And whether we're conscious of our impact or not conscious of our impact, we are having an impact on everyone. And I think that this COVID has really pointed out the interconnected interdependencies between all of us. I mean, there's so many things I couldn't live here in this beautiful office if I didn't have a lot of people doing a lot of things on my behalf, whether they're doing so consciously or not consciously. And I think it's that awareness of our impact on others, and that's why I think social justice hopefully is finally hitting the tipping point, because we actually succeed better when we're all doing well than when we have this great disparity,
Yeah,
which
it's
just
a
makes me
good point.
sad.
And two quick things that have been mentioned to me is we and I love interviewing people at home now because it's become a
Yeah.
more authentic connection. And someone mentioned it's interesting that we all
Can
work.
I say that that curtain that's hanging there was in my bedroom when I was 4 years old? My mother found it cleaning out her house and
Don't you
gave it
love
to
that?
me, and I got it restored. But it's everything is connected in life. I'm sorry to interrupt. That's one of
No,
my bad habits.
no, that's what I love about these type of things is that when I found interviewing people at home, people have found that partially because they missed the contact, is that now they're way more connected, even though they thought they were connected through technology before. They're finding a way to be more connected, authentically connected using technology. And it's messages like, you see that curtain, or I was talking to somebody who's the president of the International Well-Being Institute, and she had a painting, she had an art piece on her wall that was made from dice, and it was about a man's face and what it meant to everything, and it was incredible. So I'm finding that people are realizing what's important, and you're right, and that it's kind of like a company that says one way or another you brand yourself, one way or another you're influencing something, and so things happen for a reason, and maybe Mother Nature or the spirits are telling us, "Hey guys, wake up. What's going on?" So
Mhm.
it's really fascinating. And with respect to that, well-being has continued to become, and is more even becoming now, a key element for people. And I want to know what your thoughts are about what business leaders who care, the role they have to play in three aspects of well-being: the financial well-being, physical well-being, and the mental well-being of their people, and that work with them and for them, but also the vendors they work with, the partners they work with. What role do they have to play in making that an important issue, and in realizing it's actually beneficial for the business and into the community?
Thank you. I think that we need to work in organizations where we thrive. And if we understand as leaders that our responsibility is to create an environment where people will thrive, and to try to uncover all the sticking points and resolve them and find resolution, and to include everyone at all levels in the organization, or all roles in the organization, in understanding the purpose of the whole and how each of their roles fits in with the purpose of the whole. I think that's holistic. Well, you're not going to thrive if you don't have sufficient funding. You're not going to thrive if you don't have clarity about what your role is, and you're not going to thrive if you're not working with people you respect. And if you are open, and by walking around as opposed to sitting in a particular place, but if you're open to exploring all of those dimensions, then you'll have an organization that thrives, and thereby we will have an economy that thrives.
And that goes to your point about that maybe it is
and a world and communities. Excuse me.
And it goes to your point about maybe it's the tipping point for social justice and diversity. We've had a lot of conversations about diversity,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really hitting home now. And creating safe spaces for people to be able to talk about what's important to them, for women to feel good to ask about a raise in a company, for there was a conversation, we showed a video in a diversity thing about this woman that had a meeting, and it was with it was the black guy, a woman, and this new person that was an immigrant from Iran or whatever. Long story short, she kept talking and talking, and he never got to say anything. And at the end of the meeting, she said, "What's up with Aman?" Or I can't remember his name. He doesn't say anything and whatnot. I don't think he was prepared. I think you should go talk to him, and I'm about to fire him. And the guy, first of all, she shouldn't have told the other guy to go do that. And the guy that went to him, he spoke to him, he said, "Aman, what happened?" He said, "Well, in my country, we don't interrupt the person leading the meeting, and we don't interrupt a woman. And I was totally prepared, but she never invited me or told me what the rules were of the meeting, or I didn't know what to do." So it goes back to what you said about clarity, and it goes back to creating a space for them to thrive.
Right.
It's kind of amazing that we...
Well, can I tell you about Circle Around? Because I'm so excited about it.
Oh, really? Circle Around. What is that?
Well, it's the organization that's just launching next week. It's been established by the Girl Scouts of America, and it's to bring the values and the mission of the Girl Scouts to women across America, to continue the values of courage, commitment, caring, trustworthiness, making a difference, responsibility for our communities, for our lives, for the careers that we're working on. And it's to provide a digital media site where all the information will be useful and of resource value for the women. And we're trying to reach a very large audience. There are 50 million women in America who are Girl Scout alumni. And we really believe that this is a benefit for all women. Share the same Girl Scout values. Or most people share the same Girl Scout values. So we hope that it will be of benefit to the planet.
Well beyond just Girl Scout cookies.
Definitely beyond Girl Scout cookies. And I think what's exciting about it is that when you read the articles on Circle Around, you're circling around to also have a portion of those revenues go to support the Girl Scout programs, because it's 100% owned and to the benefit of the Girl Scouts of America.
Well, full disclosure, I'm super thrilled that we were able to give you the opportunity and them the opportunity you can be the chairman of the board of.
I'm so grateful, Mark. This project is giving me an opportunity to reach out to so many diverse aspects across the industries I've worked and bring them also into the Circle Around arena, hopefully.
Well, I'm excited about it because, interesting enough, this is a Leaders Who Care series. Girl Scouts was one of two organizations in the first conference we had to recognize Leaders Who Care. And we recognized the Girl Scouts as Leaders Who Care, along with Participant Media, who was the other recipient. So full circle, here we are at Circle Around, and you're in a great position making a difference. And I think we talked about well-being, talk about bringing well-being to community in the most important time to have shared values. So I'm super excited to be involved myself.
And well-being is one of our categories. And I'm grateful to you, but I think that your practice and your way of doing recruiting also is making a difference and demonstrating that you are a leader who cares.
Well, thank you. And just full disclosure, I did not pay her to say that. So then,
You didn't even know I was going to say that. I was just trying to figure out how to say something to demonstrate your difference. But I think a lot of us who you are talking to know that.
thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, do you see this moment in time, and maybe it is circle around, as an opportunity for real dramatic change to make,
Hmm.
to be made, if you will, in how we engage with each other and just how we do things?
I do. I think people have been far too busy before. And even though I'm still managing to be pretty busy, even in quarantine, because I've been in pretty strict quarantine,
Yeah.
I found that it's much easier to have authentic conversations with people. I'm finding that, just I cycle a lot, so I'm outside a lot. That's how I resource myself. So as I'm outside and seeing, I mean, obviously our world is appreciating the fact that we're not so busy. The flowers are blooming, the animals, you see the rabbits. I saw two coyotes when I was out yesterday. I mean, the world is thriving, the ecology is thriving. And
Absolutely.
I think people are out walking, people are out talking with their neighbors. And then of course there are a lot of people who are really suffering right now. And I live in a good situation, and there's so many people that are really not thriving, and it's time for us to do more to help.
Yeah, and it definitely goes back to your point, not to be cute, but circling around to your point about, if we all thrive, we'll actually all thrive even better,
We
together.
will.
Um,
We will.
it takes dramatic change, it takes work, but it's also not rocket science to know, like, and I compare a lot of things to sports. If one team keeps winning trades and championships and the other teams suck, the championship can't be that valuable if the league's not valuable, and we're all in one
Correct.
league. So
Correct. Correct.
yeah.
No, exactly. And I think that what I'm noticing is that people are starting to notice that actually maybe they're happier. There are a
Right.
lot of people, because when they got less busy, they started paying attention to what actually mattered. And I think if we pay attention to what matters, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed when this first started, the birds always sing around me here when I'm talking and everything. But I heard them singing a song like never before, where they said, "I don't know where they all went, but this is awesome." And it was kind of like a country pop song that they were going at, but they were having a great time, and they didn't know what was going on, but it was good. and and Venice, the water was clear, the oceans are clear. It should tell us something, that it's actually great that if that can happen that quickly, maybe we have a shot if we really want to do something about it.
Well, exactly. It's We need
So
to have a planet for our great 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 grandchildren.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so speaking of children, last question in this part. Pretend I'm a graduate, high school or college, doesn't matter, and I come up to you and I say, "Man, my girlfriend's pissed because couldn't go to the prom. We didn't have a graduation. I really missed that. The world's all up and down. What do I do? What next?"
Why is the answer any different? Yes, you didn't have those things. You didn't have those things, and that's really sad. And you won't get to have those things. I really get that. But why is it any different? It's always based on what is it right now? Where is it that you want to make an impact in your life? What is it you want your life to be about? You get to choose. You get to decide that. You get to look at the whole big wide world and make your path and forge your difference.
Love that answer. Right on. Hey, thanks so much for participating. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Take care.